reminder. Let me ask you this question, because one of the things that I want to ask you about, and George, maybe you can shed some light on this, was the Montefiore Main Street grant. I was hoping that that's something that we could, discuss now. So for board members that are unaware of what that is, Montefiore, which of course is a partner with the Economic Development Committee, want to apply for a grant. And I think based on what I can understand, they have decided to abandon that for this year, and partly because they didn't let us know until last minute. So a lot of that's on them, but maybe we could start forming a partnership with them to apply for it for next year or for something like that. So George, can you provide some enlightenment on that, and then Ms. Benitez follow him?
Yeah, so I was trying to, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right, cool. So I was trying to pull up the email. I believe I shared it with you, Michael, the first day that I got it, which may have been this last week, Tuesday, I should say.
Right.
And they did want us to move with extraordinary speed, which, quite frankly, we had the back and forth on the email with them, which is, we try to be as nimble as we can be as a community board, but the time frame in which they applied for this, and given the fact that they actually dropped out of consideration altogether, just demonstrates that, I don't know if, I don't know what the process was for them. Did they just also realize that this was available, or had they been planning on it and said no, and then at the last second changed their mind? But they told us on Tuesday that they wanted a letter by that Friday, a letter of support from the community board. And there was, the only thing we had going on was a Thursday transportation committee meeting, which we were not going to discuss writing a letter of support. Anything that gets, any correspondence that leaves the board, especially if it has board, like it would have had Dr. Burke's name on it, I try to get support from the board. I don't want us acting, I certainly don't want to be acting without consent from the board on letters of support. And the only other thing was, we didn't necessarily know what the Main Street grant involved for our businesses. This was not something that they're doing a lot of work locally, but I don't know if the Merchants Association was supportive of it. So it was, they wanted us to sort of act in a vacuum, and I just felt that that wasn't the best way to move forward.
The other thing I had noticed is when I read the grant proposal, they should have had it from November of last year until now when they came to board about this particular grant. The other thing is it was a $6 million grant, and my questions would have been, would that be divvied up among their groups, or was it going to be totally for us, that $6 million? I don't know. Like we said, we were working in a vacuum when they came to the board. So I think it was rightly so that they should have backed out. Unless they found out about this, I'll find out on Thursday when they had heard about this grant, so we can get an idea of what was going on in their minds when they saw it. They probably said, "Oh, it's something we could do. Let's hop on it." And we didn't have enough time, and they didn't give us enough information.
Yeah, my take on it was, it seemed like it was kind of sort of last minute. So,
yes.
I think that, going forward, at least now we know about it. So I think that's something that, we could drill down on, Ms. Benitez and board, for that matter, so that we can, if there are monies out there, let's see if we can tap into it. I think maybe this is something at some point, depending on where the not-for-profit committee is, that we can bring them in on as well. But we can discuss that at your meeting on Thursday. Okay.
Okay.
Housing. Housing. So the only thing I have for housing, I know that there's, and again, Mr. Hall isn't here. So the only thing I'm aware of is the Grace United Methodist Church proposal, which, as many of you know, that I'm, I'm still somewhat shaky on, but it got voted out of committee. So my personal feelings are irrelevant as far as that's concerned. As far as transportation and capital projects, I don't see where Mr. Isaac is on, but I think from what I can gather, I know that there's a street naming that we're going to be voting on, which of course is Miss Ludi Brown. And for those of you that are unaware who Miss Ludi Brown is, as I said, I will. She was very, very active in our community. In fact, I knew that she knew my grandmother, and they were extremely active, not only in the 4-7, but also on the community board and everything else that we had going on. So I think that was a no-brainer for her, and so we'll be voting on that as a full board as well. I have 2 other committees that I'm aware of that have voting issues. One is bylaws. So I don't know if Mr. Stricker is on, but I do know Ms. Carla Prasadi is on. So we have an issue with bylaws that we need to vote on. Can you talk about that briefly? Carla, we can't hear you.
Carla, you're probably muted.
Oh, okay. Now I'm unmuted. Yes. So after this meeting, there is a bylaws committee to review the final proposed changes or, amend them, to take feedback on board. And, hopefully we'll reach some consensus in this meeting so we can vote on at the next board meeting. If not, it'll be back to the drawing board. But I think we did incorporate all of the feedback from board members present at the last meeting.
Okay. So we will talk about that in a little bit. And the last item, I'm going to see 1, 2, 3, 4. We have the 5th committee that I know has an issue is the land use committee. So I know that actually there should be 3 items that are going to be coming before the full board as it pertains to land use. Now I know one of them is a ULURP issue. And so Attorney Singh, and I think the other one is going to be Pear Tree. Now Pear Tree did come back to us with their ideas. And so I don't know, I know that I think that went out to the land use committee, but I need to double check my email. I'm kind of sort of still in vacation mode. So Attorney Singh, if you would address that ever so briefly, what is it that you're going to need from us from land use?
So there's the variance issue. That's one of the 3. The second one is Pear Tree with their they have some new proposals. I think they want one is to build instead an office space building, a modern office space building, and the way they couch it is an industrial site, but a small scale industrial site. I'm having the drafts printed this evening so I can have a look at it, but I'm not sure how. I mean, it'll be helpful to have them explain a little bit more of what these ideas are. And the third issue is the ULURP issue, the land use. That's the one with the storage. Is it the storage, George, or am I confusing issues here?
You know what? I'm still on vacation, but I want to say that there are 2 storages. Pear Tree came back. We were the ones. I think they wanted some advice. I want to say because I think we were unaware. I won't say unaware, but yeah, we were unaware of what was being planned with the last city council person, and so they came back with some they redesigned their proposals or schematics, I should say. They redesigned their blueprint is the word I'm looking for. And so, I think we need to discuss with them which one works. I think one was an office space, which they still had the storage facility. Now, if you notice in both of their proposals, they still had the storage facility. One was office space, and the other one,
industrial park.
It was an industrial park, right? With the said storage. So either one.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I think we need to, discuss with them, because as I said before, with the storage, and I think they still think that in their minds, that's their moneymaker. But again, I think my issue, and I think the board's issue, is that you've got a storage space directly behind them. You have one that's directly across the street from them. And then if you go on the other side by where that, on the other side, with Co-op City, I want to say there's one over there. So, the question is, what are the, why are they stuck on storage? I mean, what are the business models say that area needed? They stated that it's needed, but then they didn't show us a model or a survey that says, well, this is what we really want, or a statement of demand. And so I think that's something that we need to drill down on them about, even though I'm happy that they came with the redesign. So I think that's a good thing. Am I missing anything else, George?
The other one was where George brought up the point of building out on the pavement.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jessica Rubinstein.
So the first two items on the agenda are 2829 Edson and 2827 or 2875 Edson Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, the only thing that's before us is 2829, the BSA. It's the Board of Standards and Appeals. And they came to us because they wanted two things from us, or they wanted one of two things from us. They either wanted us to do away with the variance completely forever, so that they would not have to come back every 20 years. And I think that was a non-starter for us. But one of the things that I've done or wanted to do since I became a district manager 5 years ago was to actually address this very issue of Grace Avenue not being a through street. I've had subsequent conversations with Department of Transportation and BSA, Board of Standards and Appeals, and we may get lucky on this. So for them, their consideration is building out the sidewalk. We want the sidewalk built out. But the other thing that we asked them in the meeting was that we wanted the storage facility, which is a completely different storage facility, which is adjacent to that property. They both did their BSA variances on the same day, and they both expire on the same day. The storage facility, they did reach out to 2829 Edson Avenue, that's Jessica Rubinstein. They did reach out to the storage facility, which is Extra Space Storage. Extra Space Storage reached out to us. They're going to be a part of the land use committee meeting because Extra Space Storage has a bulk of that sidewalk that needs to be built out. And their BSA also expires July 1st, 2021. Jessica Rubinstein and 2829 Edson Avenue just came to us first. That's just the coin. Like, that's how they rolled it. I don't know that the storage facility is being represented by anybody at this particular moment, but I'm sure that their variance is coming up in July. Hopefully they'll work together to get this done. I think money-wise, it makes sense because it's a shared property, and the work for the sidewalk is going to be extensive because it didn't even dawn on me. They have to build a retaining wall. There is a grade elevation on that property. So they're going to have to build a retaining wall in order to maintain the sidewalk, which is probably like 5 or 6 feet. Probably starts on the lowest end, like 3 feet, and then goes all the way up to like 6 feet at the going towards the storage facility. The pear tree facility, just a reminder on that one, that's the one that came to us that they wanted to do the catering hall. Mm-hmm. The only reason that they're before us for the Euler is because of the N11 text amendment for storage facilities. So if they only go, let's just say for argument's sake that we're able to dissuade them from building the storage facility, then they don't even need our permission for anything else if they wanted to do something as long as they were within the zoning of that building. The only reason that they're before the board is because of the storage facility. Remember, like when we had the conversation last time, the catering hall is permissible. So if they wanted to just build a catering hall, they could do that.
How is that permissible in the M1 district though, George? I mean, I don't understand that.
There are certain commercial uses that are allowed in that. I'm forgetting, if I'm not mistaken, it's a zone 16 or zoning text 16 for that, and catering halls are permissible within that use. And it's an M3, meaning that it's a manufacturing 3, which are probably the most toxic uses in the city. So those could be like junkyards and stuff like that. So the fact that they want to build an M1 use, which is a storage facility, again, because of the city council law about 2 years ago, they now have to come before the community board. But the city allows that sort of use because it's less toxic than the M3. It's a little complicated sometimes, but if you're doing something in a district that has car uses, wrecking places and stuff like that, and you say you want to build something that's nicer, as long as it's within the like you can't build a home, for example, but as long as it's within the manufacturing use and catering halls for whatever reason, which oddly enough, I don't know that, they said that they wanted to build office space. I don't know that that's Class A office space, because Class A office space may not be permissible in the manufacturing district. But, that's just, those are one of the oddities.
I think I mean, I like the office space. I mean, I saw, as I said, the blueprints, and it looked pretty decent. So, Judge, I'm trying to remember, did everybody get a copy of that, or was it just the land use committee members that got a copy of that?
No, I think we shared it with the board. I mean, Ursula can weigh in. She's here, but I do think we shared it with everybody.
Okay, because I don't remember. Ursula, do you want to comment on that? Did the entire board get that, or was it just
Sorry, I don't remember, but I'll send it out right now.
Well, I mean, I'm just asking, Ursula. I mean, I don't.
I'm just saying I don't remember. I don't remember.
Yeah, me either. I'm as I said, my brain has been fried here recently. I don't know what's going on. So, okay. So in other words, those are the committees that have, as far as I know, voting coming before the board: economic development, housing, transportation, bylaws, and land use. Correct? Okay, hearing none, seeing none, I'm moving forward to the next item on the agenda so that we can be done.
I'm sorry, Michael. The letter of support on the retaining wall that they want to write to the borough president's office. Leak and Watts. I forget they have a new name now.
I just saw that. That comes under
Brown. That's the new name.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I just saw that.
Child Substance Abuse Treatment Program.
Yes. Okay. We need to vote on that too, right?
They made a request that their request is to go before the borough president's board. So, I mean, we can punt that to next month, or we can. I didn't know, because it was a retaining wall issue. I didn't know if it was a land use issue or if it's a housing. It's one of their facilities where they house people.
Right.
So it could have been the housing committee. It could have been the health human services committee. I mean, because it's a non-for-profit that deals with.
It's a non-for-profit.
Yeah. So. The choice, I defer to the collective, judgment of everybody, like where we should put that.
Well, I mean, I think that, and I think I commented on that. I want to say that I like it in land use. However, I think that if we, based on what they're proposing, if we bring housing and health on board, that's fine. But I would like to leave it in the purview of land use. And maybe we can get, between Mr. Hall and Mr. Lanzano or one of their members to chime in on that. That'll be great. But I think I want to leave that in land use. So did everybody get a copy of that? Was that, I mean, I know you did, Attorney Singh. I know that I did. But I'm trying to think that right now I'm in my mind is in a fog and I don't know why. So I need to, I'm going to check on that. I'm not as sharp as I should be. Okay.
All right. I didn't send that out. You want me to send that one out?
No, not right now. No. Well, I mean, that one is, yeah, we can. Go ahead and send it out. I'm trying to be transparent. So go ahead. And send that one out.
Excuse me. Well, I have a question. What's the address of the Rising Ground property?
Oh, you would ask me that, Ms. Benitez.
I'm sorry.
Let's see. Where is it?
I can look it up in a minute.
Yeah,
Okay.
hang on for a second. It's right in front of me here.
224th East 230. No, 724 East 234th, I think.
Well, I've got two. I've got this. It says the mother to child program is located at 225 East 234th. Is that what you said, Ursula?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Okay, yeah, that's what he said. It's from a Nancy Haruska, whoever
Yeah,
it is.
that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So that one, no, that wasn't sent to everybody. Okay, so that one.
I'm gonna send it out right now.
Okay. So
because I need to see that since I'm on their board.
What'd you say, Ms. Benitez?
I need to see that because I'm on their board, so I need to know about that.
Yeah, that one we just sent. It was just initially sent to land use. So it was land use and housing. So that's what. So Ursula's going to send it out to everybody.
Okay, thank you.
You got it, Ms. Benitez. Okay, so next up on my agenda is record keeping in minutes. And so, as you know, with the executive committee, we're soon going to have hopefully a recording as corresponding secretary, which of course, recording, of course, is Miss Carla Brasati, who hopefully will be. And, as I said, so, I know she's done a good job of recording and getting our minutes out for our general board meeting, as well as, a meeting like this, our executive committee meeting. And so, as you all know, committee chairs, we're under audit. And right now we're not doing well. We're probably not going to do as well under our audit. So there are some things that I guess I need to address right now. So let me address the first thing as first. So as you know, I'm still getting my mindset back in New York City here. And so there's the monthly calendar is available on our website. However, there is a change to our website because 3 of our committee chairs, I guess in the initial draft of that, we were not able to get their committees to meet. And so we now have 3 committees and I'm proud to say all of their chairs are here that we were able to swap out. And so let me just look right quick instead of sharing this because that's going to take up too much time. The committee dates for the following committees are changing. So Library and Cultural Affairs has changed. Legislative, which is an ad hoc committee, has changed. And Education and Youth Services has changed. So those are 3 committees that have changed. I've got bylaws listed kind of sort of twice. No, kind of sort of. I have them listed twice because I'm trying to figure out which date they're going to pick, either the first Wednesday or the 4th Monday, simply due to the fact that Health and Human Services and Public Safety are not meeting as much as I would like for them to. So, and one of those committees, truth be told, may be eliminated. So in the process of that, maybe depending on when bylaws can meet, we can get squeeze them in one of those dates. But Library and Cultural Affairs will be meeting on the first Monday of the month. Legislative will now be meeting on the first Thursday of the month. And Education and Youth Services will be meeting on the 4th Tuesday. So without showing my screen, everybody else remains the same. And so those are the dates for that. As it pertains to minutes, most of you are very, very good with your minutes, which I appreciate. So in order to not only get us caught up to speed, but something that we're supposed to be doing, we're supposed to be putting the minutes of not only our full board meeting and general board meetings, but also our committee meetings on the website. So what I asked you to do, and I know that the Transportation Committee just did this. I mean, some committees who've been failing miserably, namely Housing, have been failing miserably at this. But everybody else has been getting their minutes in. I ask that you continue to get your minutes to, Ursula, so that because what she and George are doing, that they're forwarding it to Hewitt, which of course is the city's IT arm, and they will upload it to our website. Now, right now, I know they have a bunch of things that has been submitted. I want to say at the end of November, beginning of December, that at some point they're going to be uploading. I don't know when yet. So I'm going to ask either Ursula or George to chime in and if you can give us an update as to when you think they will be, because I know that you submitted it, when they'll be able to put that on our website.
Hold on. Oh, okay. I'll follow up with them. I'll send an email tomorrow and follow up and see when they can get that. I mean, there's some stuff we didn't submit, like the most recent changes on the bylaws. And I know there's some other things that are going on with bylaws and the committees that those things haven't been changed. But I don't anticipate that it will take long. And if you're changing the committee calendar, that's also fine. I mean, that we just said it. It usually takes only 3 days for them to put stuff up. So, but they have been, like the chairman said, they have been inundated with stuff. So I don't know where they're at with our requests. Excuse me. But we have been submitting them.
And let me say too, thank you, George. And let me say too, I know it's a lot of you have emailed me or texted me or called me asking me to get you to committee assignments. I have it. It's right here in front of me, but that's not doing you any good. I will get that out before. I think the standing committees are set. I need to get some other things out, and so that will be. I'll get that out to you. I know later than tomorrow before the inauguration. But one of them, as I said, I'm sitting up here looking at it right now. I just haven't. You know, like I said, something's always coming up, and so I apologize to you, but that is done. Let me move to the next item on my agenda. These are relatively quick items. The plan meeting with city planning and HPD. I haven't had it. Oh, I'm sorry, Ursula. Yes.
Hey, I just want to let you know I got Roberts Hall report.
Okay, that's fair enough. So that leaves in Parks, who has but of course, like I said, we may do something with that in a little, not too long from now anyway. So as far as HPD and city planning, like I said, I've just got back, so I've not had a chance to reach out to them. So I want to actually thank our district manager, George, and Ursula for making that connection. So, you know, I do want to reach out to them and figure out when, you know, like I said, we had a very good conversation as far as what they can do to, you know, help us understand the process. So I will have a report for you by next month as it pertains to that. The next item I have is new board member committee assignments. So with the exception of one, we have 6 new members, and most of you know who they are by now. In fact, 3 of them are on this meeting right here. With the exception of one, all our new board members have their committee assignments. In fact, hell, one is a chair and one is a vice chair of a committee. So, and one got her name in the newspaper. So for those of you that are unaware, Ms. Sydney Blair, who of course is one of our youngest members, made the Bronx Times. And so if you have not had an opportunity to see that article, I invite you to do as such. But with that said, with the exception of one, one I think wants to assign themselves to a committee, but I quite frankly don't need that particular person on that committee. So I will see what's going on, quite frankly, because I'm pretty much sick of that particular new member, and you know, we'll go forward from there. Okay. Next item I have before turning this over to our first vice chair is an update on the removal of non-participating board members. So the letters will go out by the end of the week. I would like to thank Ms. Borsati for giving me a template between what we have and what I've been thinking already. The letters have been transcribed. It's just a matter of getting them out and getting to the office so that they could be quote unquote officially mailed out. But in the initial round, there are 3 board members who have not been to anything, have not been to any meetings, despite the fact that I called them prior to our last meeting. I was able to contact each and every one of them. They still did not show up, despite the fact that I called them and warned them that they were on the list to be removed from the board. So with that being said, some of those members did reach out to Ursula after the fact. And at that point, in my mind, it's too late. So You know, as I said, those letters will be going out, and it will then be, I see Ursula's raising her hand, but then it will be up to you board members to decide whether or not you want them to serve with you on the board or not. Yes, Ursula.
So Mary McLeod reached out the other day because her job is preventing her from coming. So she wanted to know, would it help if she got a letter from her supervisor?
No, no, not at all. Either she can serve or she can't. You know, and this, I mean, I told her that point blank. That's okay. She's one of the ones that's getting the letter. No, either she can serve or she can't. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just like, you know, I mean, and again, this is not an autocracy. So, I mean, committee chairs, if you want to chime in, you can. Ms. Benitez, I saw you shaking your head, but my opinion is no. If she can't serve, then she's holding a space from somebody who wants to serve. Hell, I'm thinking about George. What's that guy's name? I can't think of his name. He's always at our board meetings, and
Benga.
if anything, he should be on the
Banga.
board, but he's not. What's his name?
Banga.
Okay, okay. I mean, somebody like him should be on the board, but yet we're trying to hold this. I say hell no, but that's just my opinion. Ms. Benitez, what do you think?
I think no. She's had plenty of chance to redeem herself prior to you calling, and I don't think she should be back on the board.
Okay, thank you. I mean, with her, it's always an excuse.
Yes.
It's always an excuse with Mary McLeod. And so, you know, I will say this: excuses are tools of the incompetent. They're used to build monuments of nothingness, and those who practice their uses are seldom capable of anything else. So that's my take on Mary McLeod. So she's one of three that will be getting a letter, pretty much saying that we're going to remove her from the board, and she now has a choice: either resign or have us kick her off. So that's it. So other than that, I am done with the exception of the last item on the agenda, of course, which is I'm turning this over to the first vice chair. And this is where we're talking about committee viability and a plan assessment for 2021. And so with that being said, I asked the one thing that, you know, as I told some of you today when I spoke with you, is that I cannot do this by myself. And the fact that you guys are here, you are a lifeline. You are the eyes, the ears, and the arms of this board, and the heart. And I really thank each and every one of you. And so, you know, I told the first vice chair, you will not be first vice chair in name only, because there are plenty of things that we have to get done. And so committee viability and a plan assessment is fantastic, because that'll help us determine which committees that we can either contract or quite frankly eliminate if we need to. And so with that, I'm going to turn this over to the first vice chair.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. Okay, so Ursula had sent out a letter to you so that you could formulate in your mind what is your plan for your committee from now, say January, through June. I mean, a number of us also have to reapply for board membership. So when you think about it, you have to think in terms of how can this plan be carried on, and not say, this is your plan, and then somebody else comes in and now it has to be somebody else's plan. Okay, so what is your plan between now and June? And when you think about it, what is your plan from September through December for your committees? Okay, so if I could get feedback from somebody, if you want to volunteer to say it, if you want to write it, is really best for you to put it in writing, just to, you know, just to say, what are you going to plan for your committee? So in an entire year, you have 9 meetings. So in your 9 meetings, what 9 subjects are you going to speak about? Are you going to speak about 4 subjects and just deal with addressing them and getting to it and getting to an answer, you know, by the end of the year? Okay. So let me see. Who should I call on? Let's see. Let me start with, let's say, Ms. Cloud. What about libraries and, you know, do you have plans for library? You're muted. Hello, okay, go ahead.
I'll take a crack at it.
Okay, Beatrice.
So from now to June for the ad hoc not-for-profit committee, ideally is to start the research planning of how we're going to survey the community, to start bringing in entities and organizations that we can partner up with. And I'll be talking more about that tomorrow. We have some guest speakers, some are pro bono attorneys, and then the same organization can help us build a volunteer team so that if we can't do the surveying remotely, then we can have like a street team that can help us do the surveying, whether it's at hospitals or laundromats or train stations. And then that's pretty much what I have from now to June. The research, the partners that we're going to collaborate with, and the street team that'll help us gather the data.
Okay. All right. Let's see who else is on here. Miss Benitez. Okay, I don't see her there. All right. So library and the library committee. Maybe I'll call you by the committees.
Jerry, I'm here. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
hi.
I heard you. Very, very short. What I want to see my committee do is keep behind the Merchants Association. And that's a long struggle, but you know, what can we do? We can't take it over. So the only thing I can do is have our committee push and see what they can do. And if we can lend some assistance to them through the community board, not necessarily do their job, but maybe look for grants along with MPC, maybe that will help them. That's my primary goal for economics.
Okay. All right. All right. So, Mr. Singh, I'm gonna come back to you, but again, the library, library committee. What is your plans? What are your plans? You're still muted. Okay.
Hang on for a second. Hang on for a second, Jerry. Let me see.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. So we have plans. The library committee has plans. One of our plans is to form, I don't know if I should say a committee or a group for the that has to do with the veterans in our community. And with the aid of Toba, who is or used to be the president of that organization, he will help us to set up some type of a group to deal with veterans affairs. We should be encouraging members or parents to attend the Parent Teachers Association meetings in the neighborhood, the schools.
Okay.
We have preparation for end of life situations. And John Isaacs, he said his mom would be very good at this. So we plan to have a seminar where she would be the presenter. We plan to have an outreach with the library. We do collaborate with them, but we would like to do it on a larger scale this year. And that's what we have so far. That should bring us to maybe June. And then from there, we will decide what we'll do after. Some of these topics might overlap and go into the next month. It all depends on what we're doing then. And that's it so far.
Okay. All right. And the Youth and Education Committee?
Good evening. How's everybody doing?
Hi, Tony.
Okay. I was going to choose to write mine also, but it's a major concern with the community. There's a lot of mental health issues and a lot of issues in terms of the kids' safety, online safety, home safety, all kind of areas. So that would be one part of it. The other part of it is I attended a workshop, and the young sister, she decided, normally we have a thing called No Child Left Behind, but what she has chosen to call her program is called No Child Left Offline. So, I mean, it's pretty awesome. They're trying to get a lot of the children who still, to this day, are not linked with devices. Either they don't have devices or they don't have internet. So I am still in the process of speaking with the Bronx Borough President's office. He's getting ready to set up another day for parents to go out and get devices. What else is there to talk about? They had another issue which I knew as a teacher before I retired, that a lot of children, well, what they're going to do is that NYSUT is going to ask to hold back the test for 0 to 3rd grade and high school students. And they're going to try to hold those tests back. So that'll be another section. What's going to happen with those children? And when I talk about high school kids, we all know what we went through last year trying to keep in contact. Kids they don't have their ring days. They don't have any of their holidays. They don't get a chance to meet up with counselors to apply for colleges and different programs that they're interested. So that'll be another section. Last but not least, there is another section on the BRAVE, which is the bullying that's going on. There's a lot of bullying. The DOE is finding that a lot of people are jumping into the classroom websites when they're doing their classes. As a matter of fact, they had to get off of Zoom and go into a different program. That's another section. And then there's also Dial a Teacher, so that parents will have help with their students, with their kids, to assist them in their homework and their studies. And there are a lot of other people who also are doing tutoring at no cost to the parents, and a lot of little workshops that the parents can attend through the United Federation of Teachers to help them move along with getting their child hooked up with their programs and things that they do. A lot of kids, they're not even, we have they're missing, which can't happen. They're not looking for them, and they're missing. A lot of homes have 3 and 4 kids, 3 and 4, and then the parent is trying to work from home, or the parent is not home and the children are trying to do it, or the grandparents trying to do it. So there are a lot of different areas that I wanted to touch on. And it sounds like a lot for a long period.
It sounds like a lot. Well, I mean, when you think about it, you could just, as you have thought about it and you thought it out, you could just take it and you could start to break it down into smaller pieces. Like what can you address between now and say June?
Right. I got it.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
And I appreciate your time, talking to you and trying to put some things together.
Yeah, like the good old SWOT, right? Like
yes,
keep SWOT in mind,
I have it up on my wall.
If you keep that, SWOT is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And if you keep that in mind, it gives you some guidance as to what you can accomplish. Like try to think about what you can accomplish, and you could carry it over into the next year. Like that way.
Yes.
If it so happens that you return to the board or you don't, you could actually leave it for the next person to pick up and say, this is what was to be continued,
Right.
Let's see, who else do we have? Clinton, are you? How are you, sir? Yes.
Greetings.
Hi.
I'm not a committee chair. I'm just
Okay.
here for the ride. But transportation committee, I guess we'll continue or try to stay on top of whatever transportation initiatives are going on in the district.
Uh-huh.
John is the chair, and I'm sure he can answer this question better than me. But
Right.
that's just one thing.
Yeah. Now, he did send me something in writing, and that's why I said, even if you put it in writing, because first of all, if you put it in writing, you can see it, and you could organize it a little bit better, because, like Tolene said, there's a lot going on with the kids, but if you put it in writing, you could look at it and you could organize it and take it out in chunks just to see. The thing is, what can we accomplish in this given year that we have? We have 9 months to accomplish things. I am going to ask George, like, what projects are there that's going to come before us that we have to vote on? What land use, what ULURP, what projects are out there that is going to come that we have to vote on? Because we tend to find out, we find out, we talk about them, and then they go on for months. And we could, try to avoid that if we know ahead of time what it is. All right. So John had sent me some concerns about a bike lane that's going to be put out on White Plains Road. He did send me some things about transportation that is a concern. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
This is Carl
Yes.
Stricker. I'm on board.
Hi, Carl. How are you?
Fine. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Sorry I
So
was late, but I had a conflict.
that's okay. That's okay. But you're here. You're here. That's important. So what we were doing, I was asking the chairpersons of the committees, what plans do you have for your committee for now through June?
Okay.
Like, what
Okay.
kind of plans are you, that's on your mind right now?
Well, we got two plans on mind that they came to the last board meeting and made presentations.
Uh-huh.
And we told them we wrote it both down. We wanted more information from them.
Okay.
And one has not responded back. That's the one that wanted to put the storage facility on top of the ballroom. So we have not heard from them. But the other folks got back to us, and we're going to have a land use meeting next Wednesday, I believe.
Okay.
Next Tuesday or Wednesday. I have to check the date. Because the other group is coming back to us with some of the changes we requested.
Okay.
So
right.
Hang on, Jay. Let me jump in. Mr. Stricker, I have to correct you, good sir. No, they did come back. The Pear Tree group did come back. And actually, I'm surprised because you were on the email where they actually resubmitted their blueprints as to what they wanted us to look at. So
maybe I got them confused with the other group.
I don't know, but the other group got back to us too.
Only one came back.
No, sir, that's not true.
Well, I didn't see the other one. I saw one, but I didn't see the other. I didn't see the pantry. So they should be invited to the land use meeting next week, so we can clear this up for the full board.
Right. Well, they're going to be there. Your vice chair kind of bumped for you, Mr. Stricker, so they're going to be there.
Okay, thank you. Well, I have a good vice chair.
You have an excellent vice chair.
Everybody should be so fortunate.
Okay.
So, there you go.
All right. So that's you have two plans right now. So you're dealing with two groups that has to be voted on between now and, say, June.
Well, between now and June, but if we get a land use approval on the next meeting for the land use committee and whoever else attends, we will present that to the full board for a full board vote on Thursday, the 28th.
Uh-huh.
This way it doesn't have to languish around.
Okay. Okay, so as far as you know, that's 2 groups, all right?
Yeah, now there's, I apologize for not knowing about the other group.
All right. All right. Are you aware of any other groups that will need a vote between now and June, Mr. Stricker or Mr. Singh?
Well, I haven't heard anybody
Okay.
looking to present anything to the board. Before
Okay.
we can decide if we're going to have a vote in that, we got to see what they're going to present to the board first. And
Right.
sometimes some things take a lot longer than other things.
Others, right.
An easy variance is not a big deal if it doesn't have a major impact on the community.
Right.
And a lot of variances we do are just extending the regular variance, for another 10 years or 5 years, whatever the city permits, depending on what the variance is.
Okay.
Now, that brings me back to what the other person, they wanted unlimited variance, and we told them no.
No. Right.
And somebody asked that they put a new sidewalk on Grace Avenue and other things before we even considered the existing variance they have now.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, Mr. Boris, can you tell us what are your plans for the Parks Committee between now and June?
Well, our plans are always ongoing and always making progress. So definitely we're going to continue our projects that we currently have right now. New projects, whether or not that they've been postponed due to COVID. Openings, we were slated for 2 openings in this past summer that just passed. So we're going to focus back on that. COVID protocols, safety measures, and not so much enforcement, because that's a major buzzword these days. On how we enforcement. So we're going to definitely, but we definitely want to focus on safety measures and open our parks back, especially with tournaments and things of that such that is going on. We're going to track funding as to what was lost and what can be gained. We're always looking for funding because we want to do as much for our community as we possibly can. Right now, the baby of our focus is the RC track, which is on Gun Hill Road, which I have focused on since I've gotten on the board. And I'm going to rewind a bit, but these projects, it's cliche to say ongoing projects, but when I first arrived on this board, one thing that I learned that there are projects that were going on 10 years before I even got on the board. So, there are projects that are going to be completed when I'm far and when I'm nowhere, when the board is a thing of the past for me.
Yeah.
So these are, it's just to put food for thought, and that's with all of our committees, and the work that we do, especially with no pay, or what I mean, and last but not least is just to work with other committees. We're constantly working with land use and transportation, and so that work will absolutely need to continue. I know that right now the thought has been floated around where we need to combine committees. I'm not a fan. I do see the validity and why it should be done. But I'll tell you the reason why I'm not a fan, and that's because it becomes overwhelming, especially when you're trying to work around the bureaucracies of even working together when you're willing to work together, especially with these government entities, right? So what ends up happening is you have you're willing, everybody's willing to play nice, but then there's rules, right? And then you have to go through all of these tapes and obstacle courses of getting around these rules. So that's where it becomes, it could become tedious, and we could lose track of what really needs to be done faster. And that's what I need to, that's all I have to say. And it's great to see everybody.
Yes, Happy New Year to you too.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
So the thing is, what about now? Like I said, if I just know if you write it down, you can look at it and you can start sectioning it out. But now I'm real clear that a lot of these projects and a lot of things that are worked on, they're the beginning of the idea of working on it. It's just the beginning, because how much time do we have? We have maybe 2 years. That's in terms of our term of being on the board. So whatever we do put forth, you put it forth so that it could be carried on by subsequent board persons that come in, or when new members come in, they could look and see what the plan is for particular projects, like the RC Park, like you said. Now, let me just ask you, did you get any follow-up from Parks Department? Remember that person that was at that meeting? He said he was going to kind of put it on hold. He was trying to scrap everything.
We absolutely. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Ajuria.
No, that's okay.
No. Just a little excited to report. And I'm.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to report in quite some time.
That's okay.
But
well, now you can. The RC Park, I do remember that.
Thank you so much.
And I do remember that the end of that conversation.
Yeah, you were actually there.
Yes. And it put him on hold. He really had to change his mind. He couldn't go forward with saying that it was absolutely scrapped. And it was John Isaac who had brought up that you would have to build up a certain part in that park to prevent the flooding.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to know any results from that conversation.
So even though I'm elated to report after I feel like I'm being silenced for over a year, for many different reasons, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
With that being said, it's unfortunate that the RC Park, the individuals that were involved, heavily involved, they weren't able to attend the last meeting. We're giving them another opportunity, even though they did come up with something. And unfortunately, and I'm making you guys privy to this information because it is what it is. The plan that they put forth, because we kind of did put it in their plate to come up with a plan, and unfortunately, it was it fell short. It fell short of expectations as far as what a plan should look like.
Right.
So with that being said, listen, it's not about time. There's not a time limit or anything like that. What we want to do is we want to get it done, and we want to get it done the right way. So I want to give the opportunity to come back to the RC committee, the RC, I'm going to give them a term, RC Park Goer Committee, to come up with another plan or even foster their plan and help their plan. And I don't want to put the onus totally on them. That may have been due to meeting, how would you say, meeting, rearrange, what is that called when you, rescheduling. There we go. Sorry, I had a brain fart. So meeting rescheduling. So definitely, hopefully looking forward to hearing from them again. And hopefully, coming up with a more empowered plan that the parks is willing to entertain.
Right.
Again, just to and as if I were reporting to the community, I would articulate better to say that we're working on a better plan that parks would be more willing to work with us. Not to say that they aren't.
Right.
Only to say that there's a better plan in motion coming soon to come, that everybody's happy. That's the bottom. That's what I really want to get to.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Like I said, the thing is, if you write it down, even if you write it down for yourself, you can see it better, and you can see it better where other people coming in on the board, they don't have to come in and say, oh, wow, I got a good idea. What if we have an RC park? Well, this has been discussed already, so the thing is, here is a plan for RC park, and here's the segments that has to happen for the RC parks to happen, that it is a good idea. So I am talking about just strategically putting these things in place, and so that it's in writing so that other people can see and can pick up on it. All right. I see Mr. Isaac is here. Hi, John. I thank you for that lovely thing that you sent me. I don't have it in front of me, but I don't have it in front of me. It was really great to see that. But if you could speak a little bit about what you had on your plans for the Transportation Committee.
I actually totally forgot of why.
You totally forgot, right?
No, actually, there are a couple of things. DOT is looking at they're looking at putting bike lanes on White Plains Road, and that's one of the things that we would have to meet and think about, because it would actually change the image and the circulation of what's going on White Plains Road. And that's something that we would need to get the community and the vendors or the store owners involved with. I actually just really want us to do a case study and look at other areas where there's a train L with stores underneath, where they actually have bike paths underneath. I work in Brooklyn, and that's like the bike capital of New York. And there are so much accidents out there with the conflicts with the bikes and the cars. So this is something that we should actually pay close attention to. And then also the trains. The trains now are becoming so overcrowded. I mean, before COVID, I usually get on the Dyer Avenue stop. The train is actually filled before it even leaves the station. And I've never seen it like that before. It's like, and we gotta, should there be more trains?
Yeah.
That's one of the things. And then, our gateway stops, which I consider like 241st Street and Dyer Avenue, they have no ADA access to those stops. So
241st Street will have it.
It will have it. Okay.
They will have it.
Bus. Yeah. So
that's a priority for the authority.
Yeah. So the thing is, like, with these being a priority, some things I think are already in plan. Like, there's plans for changing the Dyer Avenue station too. But the thing is that those plans are plans that takes time. They take time.
Improvements.
Yes, they do take time. So the thing for us as board members, as advisory committees, as advisory board to these other entities, is looking at what we plan to do in terms of our short-term goals. This is our short-term goals from now, say, now through March is a set of goals, because by March, now you're starting to think about you're wrapping up for the year. You're thinking about wrapping up for the year. So what can I do from now through March, and what can be done from March until June? Like, I know I shared with Beatrice, like, what we could do. We're going to talk about this, the survey that we're going to do, but we'll only put the survey out from now through March. Through March will be it. And by that time, then we'll collect the data. And then in June, we'll have our information. So you have to think about it like, what can I do? And if I am back in September, then this will be good for somebody in these committees or this type of committee or for this board to continue to do. Because like the RC Park, for instance, the RC Park has been on the plan. I remember when they were just out there just racing the cars. There wasn't a plan for it. This is years ago. But now it's come to a place where it can be a plan, and it can be a plan, a viable entity for the community as they're talking about revitalizing that entire Bronx River, the entire Bronx River, so they could be included in that. So it's just about us thinking about it strategically, so what are we going to do? Okay.
And then one of the other things I was looking at, which I learned when I was, doing my master's in planning and stuff, is about developing identity for the neighborhood. We have like no gateway features that say welcome to Wakefield, welcome to Woodlawn.
Right.
So
we actually have welcome to Woodlawn signs.
Yeah.
Okay, that's Woodlawn, but we are also Wakefield, and
I understand that. I was just making a point.
I know.
We tried this a couple of years ago, and we asked the merchants to chip in. Welcome to the 240 the White Plains Road shopping corridor.
Yeah.
All we got was bang. Go take it someplace else. They were not very cooperative. And if we're going to put these welcome signs up, we have it in all the NYCHA houses. Is welcome this whatever housing development is, but we should have a sign welcome to the Eden Wall community, which encompasses more than Eden Wall houses.
Yeah.
Or welcome to Baychester.
Yeah.
But you can't get anybody to throw some bucks in. And I'm going to tell you, the city's not going to do it.
Yeah. So we have to do it. We in the community have to do it. So like you were saying, John.
No, just saying, it might not even be like signage. What I was thinking about was more like a physical thing. Like when you come up to 33rd or you come off the Deegan, the first thing that welcomes me in this neighborhood is the train overpass as you come past the hospital. That that you're going into someplace. It feels like you're going into someplace different.
Yeah.
So things like that. We need to just look at a study.
Yeah.
And we can actually get urban planning classes to do stuff. The kids could come up with creative ideas as, for us.
So there are a lot of great ideas that could be done. I'm thinking Tolene, there was some great ideas where I saw artwork it was in the airport, but it was all art done by the kids. Like kids just did the art and their art was posted. It was posted in public. And that was good. So it's all kinds of ideas that we could come up with as long as we strategize what we're going to do. Okay. Mr. Singh, you have anything to say with all of this conversation?
No, I actually don't. And I think I was saved by Mr. Stricker showing up right before you called on me.
Okay.
But no, thank you.
Okay. All right. Does anybody else have any other comments or suggestions? I am going to suggest maybe put the ideas into 2 and 3 month chunks, that brings us out till June, with June being a wrap up. And if it has to wrap up and it has to continue from September through December, you could also put that into chunks. So it's not just thinking about till June and end, but you can actually put it in chunks until December. All right. And
what I like to.
Uh-huh.
Depending on what old Smokey Joe has when he gets to become president tomorrow for New York with Chuck E. Cheese, the head of the Senate, and I call him Chuck E. Cheese in a nice way because I know the man for years.
Okay.
I know both him and his wife. All right. So it's not an insult, all right?
Okay.
I always say that. So, but the point is, with him controlling the Senate now, and I can foresee the MTA's capital project moving along.
Okay.
And these accessibilities are number one on the capital project.
Okay.
For instance, so that's if we get money, say if they decide to send us money in February or March, I can see work starting by June on both Dyer and 241st Street, although 241st Street has priority.
Yes. Okay, so with that, I'm ending this session. I want to thank all of you for all your contribution and your ideas. I'm really writing them all down now, but I'd like to thank you for all your contribution and ideas. And I guess we will continue the conversation as far as which committees that we will condense, that we are going to possibly condense some committees. All right. All right. So I'll turn that back over to you, Dr. Burke. I'm done with my little thing.
Okay, well,
And we're going to go
very
in.
much. I do appreciate it. So,
Ursula has something. Yes,
yeah.
Ursula.
Yes, Urs.
Hey, so I got to talk about committees for a second.
Okay.
I have always sent out the meeting notice once I get the agenda. But it has caused some problems when I didn't get the agenda. So from now on, I'm sending out the meeting notice. You send me agenda, fine. If you don't, fine. But I'm not doing double work when you don't have your meeting and want me to come back and cancel it.
Well, hang on. Wait. So now let's stop. So I think you and I have had this discussion. So I'm going to bring this out to all the committee chairs since you're here, and I'm going to say this again, because I'm always hearing this, and I'm going to say this again. Piss poor preparation promotes piss poor performance, and piss poor performance promotes pain, right? And pain could be any interpretation that you may have, but you will always hear me say that, and you will always hear me say it because people always make them. And I'm going to say this again: excuses are tools of the incompetent. They're used to build monuments of nothingness, and those who practice their uses or keep on saying it are seldom capable of anything else. With that being said, the monthly calendar, I just told you guys, most of us know when our meetings take place, right? Because there's a calendar, with the exception of the revisions that I just told the committee chairs about tonight, right? And I'll be getting that link out to Ursula to get out to everybody either tonight or no later than tomorrow, right? So if you know that you have a meeting, right? So for instance, I just said the legislative committee, I'm just picking on them, not that they're not good. They now meet on the first Thursdays of the month versus the first Mondays, right? So if they know that there's a meeting, they will get that agenda to you. So my thing is I have people calling me all the time, is there this committee meeting? If I don't see an agenda, like you, I'm saying this, to back Ursula up. If I don't see an agenda, I'm not worried about it. And why am I not worried about it? Because I, like the first vice chair and second vice chair, have to attend every damn meeting, right? So if you're too lazy to send out an agenda, then guess what? It's not worth my time. So I'm just going to say that. So Ursula, I disagree with you. If they don't send you agenda, screw them and keep it moving, because that's less work for you. All right? We are big boys and big girls, and you know what the hell you're supposed to do. Right? And if I sound like I'm being terse, I apologize, but everybody knows what the hell they're supposed to do. So you don't have to do that, Ursula. If no one sends you an agenda, then don't worry about it. There's no excuses. Just like the board member who's telling you that they want an excuse because they can't show up to the meeting, they haven't been showing up anyway. Screw them. We got to move forward. So, and like I said, you and I have had this discussion. So I'm telling this to everybody that when I told Ursula, that if you're too freaking lazy to put together an agenda, then screw you. I didn't meet, or this or all that. I'm not having it, and neither is Ursula. So that's where I'm at. So Ursula, I just said it for you. Yes, Tolene.
Okay, quickly. I forgot to put on my other hat as treasurer. And just to say that you and I, Michael, have to go to the bank. We're waiting for a time when you're available. And
I sent a note. I said we can go Thursday or Friday.
Okay, I guess you sent it to Ursula, and Ursula's taking care of that. We already spoke. But I just want to let everybody else know what I'm trying to figure out is an alternate way that you can get your $20 to the account, either Zelle or mailing your money in or dropping it off when somebody's at the office. But we got to get back on board with the $20 Sunshine Fund. Okay? Okay, thank you.
Okay. With that, I'm done. I need a motion for adjournment.
Well, no, hold on. I did want to raise a couple of issues that were raised here this evening. I tried to resolve it this year that I wasn't going to tolerate stuff, and I was going to say a lot of this stuff at the full board meeting, but I'm going to say some of it now. And this is all in trying to just keep us on the straight and narrow. So Ursula and I attended an open meetings law presentation a week ago or a week before last. And it was actually eye-opening because I was going to say the whole thing about the agendas is actually not necessary. Agendas apparently are not necessary for open meetings or as a satisfaction of the open meetings law. But if this is something that we want, and I do agree that we should have agendas, then I think that that's, these are the types of things that I think should work its way into bylaws instead of focusing on stuff that we shouldn't be doing because it's explicit. Because, it's one thing, Ursula and I operate in a different vacuum from board members. Technically, we are employees of the city and we're your employees. You are the board of directors. So when a board member calls me and says, oh, I want to have a committee meeting every Tuesday or every Thursday, I try to make it work. And because land use, you can't plan land use, ULURP applications. ULURP applications are defined by the city and they start with the city planning commission. Some ULURPs take years before they come. I mean, Carl can speak better on these issues, but they take years before they formulate and actually come to the board. And then once they're certified by the city, then you're given a specific time frame. So the idea that you say, oh, well, we have an idea. I mean, you can have an idea that this is going to happen, but the idea that you say this is going to happen according to the board, the timeline that the board sets up, that's impossible because that's not how it works. There are many factors. We start the process. Community board is the very beginning of the process. We have 30 days to certify a project. Once it becomes certified by the city planning commission, then it goes to the borough president. They have 30 days. Then it goes to the city planning commission. They have 30 days, so on and so on and so forth until it gets to the city council for a vote. So that being said, I understand about planning and everything, and that's what we do, planning and zoning, but I just think we need to keep that in mind. The second thing, everybody said you want to write it down and everything. That's what we do every year. That's the district needs statement. This is something that we do every single year. Capital requests and expense requests for the board are required in the district needs statement. It's something that we do annually. It's something that Dr. Berg has been part of for the last 2 years. It's something that Dr. Hall has been part of for the many years, but he was the chair, and for Father Gorman, all the years that he was the chair. We have budget consultations every year with the city agencies. We sit down with them. We come up with the district needs statement. I've shared it with the board numerous times. We vote on it as a board. That's what that is. One of the things that, for example, that's planning that I don't, and this is a perfect example, is Boston Road. The City Planning Commission came to us last year, 2 summers ago, not even last year, 2 summers ago, said that they wanted to rezone Boston Road. I don't want anybody, when they actually certify that project, to come back and be like, oh, I was unaware of that. This is a problem with board members not looking at their emails or fully reading their emails and then coming to these meetings and misstating stuff. It's important. We send out tons of email. I get it. Ursula sends out 5 million emails, and then you got other people in the community that send out the same emails. It gets a little monotonous. I understand that. I understand it. I'm just saying it's important. There's stuff that we just share with board members that, and then for board members to come back and say, oh, well, I don't know if I got that. Did you share that with everybody? And we share everything with the board members. Please read your stuff. So, and my final thing on the open meetings law, conversations that you're having offline, they need to stop right now. You guys, especially you, Michael, and Nigeria, and everybody who's an executive officer, cannot have deliberate conversations with other board members that are not open to public scrutiny. If you want to schedule a meeting, that's perfectly fine. You want to call John Isaac and say, hey, when's your next transportation meeting? Oh, we're going to do it on this day and that day. That's perfectly fine. But the idea, for example, we have bylaws that's going to start in the next 9 minutes. There are conversations that I don't know how we arrived at those conclusions, and they're making their way into stuff that's in the agenda. And I'm wondering, how the hell was that decided? I've poured over the minutes from the last meeting. I've looked at the recordings for the last meeting. None of this was mentioned, yet it's in the plans, and that needs to stop. And I'm not saying it's just bylaws. I'm just using that as an example because it's happening next. This happens a lot. We cannot have, if you have a conversation, if Carl Stricker calls Harry Singh and says, hey, Vice Chair, what do you want to do on X? How do you think we should do this? How should we do that? That's not permissible according to the open meetings law. You have to have those conversations. You cannot, the point of it being, you cannot get to the committee meeting and have your mind already decided by having a conversation offline, and, you know, board members like, oh, well, I had a conversation with so-and-so and I had a conversation with that way, and we're going to vote this way. You can do that all in meetings. Like, you could do that all in the next meeting. You can have all of those very deliberate conversations as long as they're open to the public. It's perfectly fine. But I've been finding this happened with our previous chair, and it's happening now where, you know, oh, I had a conversation with so-and-so, I spoke with so-and-so. You know, you say it all the time, Michael. And what worries me most is that we find ourselves having had deliberate conversations and having our minds made up before we even have a chance to let the public comment on these sorts of things. And that needs to stop. I mean, like right now, if you were planning on calling somebody after this meeting, it should just be to say hello. It's as simple as that. I'm not saying that you guys can't have friends outside of the board. You guys can have friends. You want to go have a drink, that's perfectly fine. But the minute that you start discussing board business or any matter before the board, that becomes a breach of public trust. That's all I'll say.
Yes.
Let me
I don't see how this, no.
No,
Yes.
I want to add on to that because I found that meeting very interesting, and I think that I sent you guys the PowerPoint presentation, and if you would like, maybe we can invite her to come give that presentation to everybody, because I've been working at the community board for 25 and a half years and learned stuff I didn't know, or that I've been doing all these years wrong.
Yeah. And the point I'll piggyback on that. Open meetings law only requires notification for 72 hours. So that's 3 days, if I'm not mistaken. No, that's 36 hours. What's 72 hours? 5 days, right? Or 3 days, like 24 hours, 24 hours. That's 3 days, 3 days. So that means that, but our bylaws, if anybody read them, requires 10-day notification. So we've been woefully wrong according to our bylaws. So, and again, not sending the agendas or not spelling the agendas out, or, you know, I know that some people, you know, call Ursula and have her write it down for her, or, I mean, she has to write it down for them. I think that going forward, I think that should be a consideration for 2021, that most of our meetings are going to happen virtually. So if you're not comfortable using technology, especially this format, that, you know, maybe you might consider resigning your committee. And I will just say, there were 2 meetings prior to this that there was a meeting with the CUNY Chancellor, Felix Matos Rodriguez, that was very interesting about the future of higher education. And there was a meeting on ranked choice voting that started at 6:30 that I had to cut off because I had to attend these meetings. We have a meeting this Wednesday. We have a meeting today, Wednesday, Thursday. Next week, we have a meeting Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Last week, I had a meeting Thursday. There are other things that are happening besides Community Board 12. And that's why I'm saying you should really consider a serious reduction in the number of committees, because we're duplicating services and we don't really need to. The Education Committee, there is the CEC that meets monthly. They have several meetings. They have a business community meeting. They have a general public meeting. We are all privy to those. Anybody could attend. Public Safety is the 4-7 Precinct Council has a meeting. A lot of our board members do attend that meeting. The chairman always attends religiously, in addition to other board members. Again, having a Public Safety Committee meeting would be monotonous and redundant on our point. So again, be considerate of people's time when you think about the thing, because the last thing I'll say is our Transportation Committee last week only lasted 17 minutes. That could have been rolled into some other stuff, but that was a 17-minute long meeting. So again, I think we can do better, especially by the public's time, because we have 18 people on this. This is not what outreach should be or anything. I mean, if we had something that was comprehensive and more deliberative, I think more people would want to participate and weigh in, and you'd get more done. That's my piece.
It looks like Ivan wanted to say something. Is Ivan muted?
I don't know. Everybody should be able to unmute themselves.
Sydney wanted to say something too.
All right.
Sydney is muted.
Okay, is everybody muted? Because I thought
Yes.
that people could unmute.
Yeah, Ivan said he's muted for some reason.
Okay, so before actually, according to my computer, he's not muted.
Yeah. Ivan, you could hear us?
He's not muted. Not on my computer. He's not.
Yeah, he's not muted. Sydney was muted.
I didn't have anything to say.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Right. So let me just say this. You know, I was not on the open meetings, and I forgot. So truth be told, so I didn't attend that. So I can't comment on that, board members, because I didn't comment on that. As far as who to talk to, I'll just say it like this. You know, my daddy's
Can you hear me now?
Michael Burke Sr.
Yeah, we hear you. We can hear you.
And he's no longer here. So with that being said, the only person who tells me who the hell to talk to was my mom and daddy. I'm just going to leave it like that, and I'm not going to say too much anything else. And as I said, we can talk because I missed open meetings law, so I'm not going to comment on that because I did miss it. And Ursula, if you can get her to, you know, bring that to everybody,